It is it is very rare for Pokemon to put out a product where the value inside the contents that you pull out of that product is actually worth it, like worth the actual price tag that you are paying for that product. So a good example of a recent release of Pokemon putting out a really good product would be the Charizard Battle Deck that just came out. So the Charizard Battle Deck, it features 3 Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames. They'll sell for a few dollars each, $3 to $4 a piece. So that's like $9, $10 right there. And then each Charizard Battle Deck also contains a Prime Catcher in it, which has dropped like a ton. It has dropped in value a lot, but it's still selling for about $12. So that value right there in combination with the Charizard EX, about $22 worth of value so far. So you're already above wholesale costs on this product, which is around $18, $19, and then they retail for $29.99. Then you also get 2 Pidgeot EXs from Obsidian Flames, which are selling anywhere between $4 and $5. So that's about another $8, we'll call it, in value. So that's $30 by itself, not including all the other stuff that's inside. There's a lot of bulk cards in there for sure, but there's also Arvins in there, which sell for $1 to $2 a piece, and you get 2 of those. You get 4 Buddy Buddy Poffins. Those sell from $1 to $2 a piece. You get Super Rods. You get Boss's Orders. You get a Technical Machine Evolution. Like it's a really, really, really strong product. But for the most part, you get like a Grand Adventure chest, or like the Blood Moon Ursaluna box, which just released, which actually isn't too bad because it does have 2 Surging Sparks booster packs in it, or the Ogre Pond box that just released. Usually Pokemon will put out a product, you'll get 4 packs inside, which for the most part, since packs are so mass produced, the market value on them drops to like $350, like really, really quick after a set releases. And then you get a promo card included. Usually it's an ultra rare like the Blood Moon Ursaluna or the Teal Mask Ogre Pond, which sells for like $4 or $5. Usually you add all that value together and it's not even close to the price tag that you're putting on the actual item. Now you could pull well, right? You could open up the booster packs and you could pull a special illustration rare, or back in the day when we had alternate arts, you could pull, that alternate art Lugia or that alternate art Umbreon out of your Evolutions Premium Collection. Ultimately, probably doesn't happen, but usually it's just the fun thing. Like, it's just fun. Like, they create all these extra products to kind of appeal to their demographics. You're guaranteed an ultra rare because you've got that promo card. We talked about a couple days ago all the excess products that Pokemon has produced and how many are just sitting at distributors, but very rarely are any of them worth the actual price tag. And the reason that I wanted to segue into this is because we are 2 years removed from probably one of the most broken releases we've ever had. And really, ever since it's released, its contents have always been right around the price tag for what the product is selling for. And I am talking about this bad boy right here. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because as we inch closer and closer, the next few videos are really going to be Black Friday focused and things that maybe you want to look out for as you're doing your Black Friday shopping and things like that. Charizard Ultra Premium Collections, if you can find these. Now, you can find them out there and about for like $150. You're not going to be able to find them really in retail stores anymore, big box stores, or anywhere like that. But I think this is a very solid buy because of the contents. And we're going to go over the contents. You can find these for about $150 on eBay, places like that. But you might be able to find them even cheaper as we near closer and closer to the holiday season. A lot of times, some excess product like this that might be a little bit older but still have a lot of appeal will have discounts associated with it. We talked about Black Friday TikTok deals. That is going to be like the best location. I know Target had $20 ETBs and those were gone and they limited them to 3, and they'll come back in stock and go out of stock, and people will flock to their local Target stores to try and find Lost Origin ETBs and Brilliant Stars ETBs for $20. And that is a really good deal. But usually shopping from the comfort of your own home, you don't necessarily have to do anything on TikTok except just make sure you connect your Google account, and you can look at verified sellers, really good storefronts who TikTok is providing them with these additional coupons. Now, they're not as good as last year for sure. You were able to find like Ultra Premium Collections from Scarlet and Violet 151, or even these Charizard Ultra Premium Collections for significantly below MSRP. And now with this kind of climbing all around $150 $150, it might not seem like it's worth it as much. But if you can find these below 150, I think it's a no-brainer right now. Even though these were mass-produced like crazy, I do think a lot of them got opened up because there were so many of them. And also, I think storefronts were sitting on a lot of extras, and because of that, they cracked them open so that way they could just sell the content. So we're going to talk about exactly why that might be in this long-winded introduction to the actual video, but I promise it is worth it, because I think you're going to get some information out of here that might surprise you a little bit. So here's the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection right now, selling at a market price of about $169.83. It did drop a little bit. I do think that there's quite a few of these still out there, but if you compare this to other Ultra Premium collections that have released in the past, and pay attention to those Terrapagos as well, the Greninjas as well, those just came out, and I do think you're going to see some Black Friday deals on those as well, especially as people look to kind of fill up on, let's say, a reprint of Surging Sparks comes at some point in the beginning of 2025. Obviously, we've got the Blooming Waters 151 box that people are want to get. Their storefronts are going to want to pay for. They're going to make sure they can get as much as they can, and obviously, Prismatic Evolutions storefronts are going to want to be able to order as much as possible. Even if they get allocated lower amounts, they're going to request more, and they're going to have to pay for all of that. So they're going to dump some of this unnecessary product that isn't going to move as fast. They might take it a little bit of a loss on it. They might sell it at discounted rates, especially on Black Friday. Ultra Premium collections in the past, historically, have done extremely well. They're not the most liquid items, not as liquid as booster boxes, but far more liquid than normal collection boxes and things like that. And that's why it's so important not to stock up on too much stuff. You want to make sure you diversify your collection, your seal collection, because if you have a lot of stuff that you're sitting on of the same product, it can be very hard to move off of that in the future at anywhere close to what the market price is. So it's important to diversify and make sure that if you are a sealed collector, you don't overdo it on any one specific product. But the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection, in comparison to like the Scarlet and Violet 151 Ultra Premium Collection, the ones that we have had before that, obviously Celebrations, and then like Hidden Fates, all those other ones well above $200 and continuing to climb. This one is continuing to climb as well. Now, it did drop off. You can see a little bit in September of 2024. There was a little bit of a buyout going on a lot of different products in May. You can see some abnormalities right here on the actual bar graph, where all of a sudden a few weeks passed and all of a sudden it jumped up over double the amount of sales on TCGplayer. So obviously a little bit of a buyout going on in December of 2023. This was selling below MSRP at $104.43, and then in March is really when it started to trickle up a little bit. And part of the reason behind that is because Sword and Shield products became so much more difficult to find, and this thing is chock full with only Sword and Shield packs. So it's kind of like your last good opportunity to get a variety of Sword and Shield packs. Now this jumped up above 160 and then came back down to about 130, and that's why I do believe there's still going to be good deals out there, especially if you pay attention to storefronts on Black Friday this upcoming weekend. There's going to be deals out there. Now it has climbed. It's up about 54% over the past year, sitting at $169.83, and this will be a liquid item for a very, very long time. But if we look at the contents inside, this has exploded, especially over the last few months. So here's the promo cards right here. This is the alternate art Charizard V, obviously burning down the forest. Now Golurk's got to come. He's got to rebuild the forest. It's a really cool storyline, and Charizard is going to be a very popular card forever. It's obviously one of the most popular Pokemon amongst kids. These get sold really well on Amazon, which we will look at in just a minute here. But this Charizard, even if you're not a huge Pokemon collector or investor or a competitive player or anything, Charizard is just a known household name, right? Like if you have a nephew who really likes Pokemon, likes watching the anime, likes collecting some cards and playing with the toys a little bit, and his favorite Pokemon is Charizard, this would appeal to that demographic. And that's important to remember, because that makes it very much more liquid than a lot of other cards, a lot of other promo cards, like that Blood Moon Ursaluna in the collection box, for example. In March of 2024, this was sitting at $4.44, and it didn't climb that much. Even when we saw some buyouts kind of happening at the beginning of September, there was enough quantity out there that it didn't really impact the price. In fact, it went down a little bit in September, back down to around that $6 level. But if you look at what it's done, not because of a giant amount being sold, but just because of more natural progression, less available product, jumped all the way up to $10.72. Now, it's gained over 130% over the past year and continuing to climb. And if we look at the Charizard VMAX, also doing the same thing. For a long time, this was the most expensive one out of the three. I believe it is still the most expensive one on Amazon. Now, it did come down to earth a lot in March of 2024. You can see it fell down to $10.81, then jumped up when we saw some of those other buyouts happen. But now you have a lot more consistency as far as sales go. Very, very normal amount of sales on a weekly basis, but continuing to climb because less available availability. Jumped up about $16.34 is where it's currently sitting. It did hit $16.89 last year, but it's up about 23% over the past year and continuing to climb, which is very important. Charizard V-Star, very similar to what we saw from that Charizard V, very consistent from December of 2023 up until June of 2024. It did hit that one-year low of $8.86, then jumped up a little bit during that buyout, but then came back down. Now, you had a couple of weeks where there was a little bit more sold than normal, but not a ton, not as much as what we saw in May of 2024, and then all of a sudden in September, it started taking off a lot. Now it's up to $25.32, which is just off of its one-year high, which it hit a couple weeks ago of $25.51. It's up 154% over the past year. So you get all three of these in that Charizard Ultra Premium Collection, which is crazy. This is the battle with Mewtwo. This is obviously a very in-demand card. It's going to be for a long time. And yeah, there's a lot of them out there, but they move extremely well. So this is Amazon right here. You can see the Charizard VMAX, still the one that sells the most on Amazon. But these will be bought up in droves on TCGplayer. If you're somebody who's listing a large amount of quantities on TCGplayer in the future, these will get bought out by the same individual. So that way they can just post them on Amazon. Now, it's not really worth it right now for that alternate art Charizard V or the V-Star, but big quantities of that Charizard VMAX still very much worth it because they sell for $30 on Amazon right now. And you can see the amount that are being sold on a monthly basis. Over 600 of the Charizard VMAX is sold over the last month. You've got over 200 of the Charizard V-Star and over 300 of the Charizard V. So even though the Charizard V-Star not really worth it right now for Amazon, same thing with that Charizard V, the Charizard VMAX is, and because of that, it's going to continue to get bought and continue to go up in price. And eventually, as you can see, only 2 left in stock for the V-Star. That's going to continue to climb, and then those are going to continue to get bought. It's just a weird cycle because Amazon does so much better on certain Pokemon cards and so certain Pokemon products than what you'll see on TCGplayer, because the demographic that people are buying it for varies so much. Whereas TCGplayer is kind of like a hub for collectors and competitive players. Amazon is more of a hub for casual fans, Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, things like that, where a lot of other people are doing their shopping and they'll see something like this and they're like, oh, this really cool Charizard card, only $30. I'm going to buy it on Amazon. They have no idea about what TCGplayer is really. So very interesting to see. Obviously still moving extremely well. Here are the quantities, obviously a lot that have been graded, and it does change the price considerably if you can get a PSA 10. Now, it's very difficult because these weren't, the quality on these products were not very good, but if you do get a PSA 10, it does shift the price point quite a bit. You can see the Charizard V alternate art, $80.91, but if you look at the amount graded, there's been a lot that have been cracked. You've got over 20,000 just in PSA 8, 9, and 10 if you combine all those together. But if you submit to PSA hoping to get a 10, it's going to be very difficult. Obviously, over 2/3 of them basically grading in a 9 because they do come together in this little sleeve. They rub up against each other. And then you've got some edge wear. You've got some whitening. Just wasn't the best packaged product. And they just put them, they just place them in one of those little cardboard shelves that come in the Ultra Premium Collection. So they rattle around a lot during transit and things like that. And especially as we have 2 years removed now from the release date, there's more age. So the likelihood of these shuffling around even more as people kind of transition product over, from one building to another building or one seller to another seller, the likelihood of getting PSA 10s now probably a little bit more slim than what it was when these originally came out. So only 5,894 of the Charizard V in PSA 10. You get a little bit better of a price point for the Charizard VMAX. That's a $94.98 price point if you can find that in a PSA 10. 7,757 of them in PSA 10. Over 20,000 graded just between 9s and 10s. Obviously, most of them graded a 9. You have over 13,000 graded 9s. And then the Charizard V-Star, 6,808 in PSA 10. A little bit more difficult to get a PSA 10 out of these, and that's why the value is a little bit more. The ratio of 9s to 10s is a little bit higher for the Charizard V-Star. PSA 10, $200 price point right now. PSA 9s, there's 14,632 copies that have been graded in the population report. So you've got over 21,000 graded just between 9s and 10s for this, which means a lot have been opened. A lot of Charizard Ultra Premium Collections have been opened. This was a very interesting product obviously scalped to high heaven before allocations came out. And this has me a little bit more optimistic about Prismatic Evolutions because big box retailers had so much Charizard Ultra Premium Collection. So if Pokemon does allocate a lot more Prismatic Evolutions products to these big box box retailers. Hopefully that'll give a lot more opportunity on day of release or shortly after release for a set like Prismatic Evolutions. Here's the contents that you get inside, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk about the contents being as valuable as the box or more valuable. You get all these Sword and Shield era booster packs, including 3 Evolving Skies. So you only get 1 Darkness Ablaze, which is fine because Darkness Ablaze probably isn't a favorite set for a lot of people, and because of that, it has not matured as well as a lot of these other products. $3.73 is the going market rate for that. Vivid Voltage, kind of the same thing. Not a lot of fun in that set. Obviously, you have the Rainbow Pikachu VMAX, but for the most part, not a lot of excitement out of the Pikachu. $3.83 is the current price point on Vivid Voltage. Evolving Skies continues to climb, and as it gets more and more difficult to find, it is going to pass up Hidden Fates very soon as far as that pack price goes. You cannot find Evolving Skies really in any collection boxes out and about anymore. $17.82 is the current price point for a single booster pack, just a loose booster pack of Evolving Skies, and continuing to grow as people still want to chase those evolutions, those evolutions alternate arts. Fusion Strike, you get 3 of those at $4.62 currently. Brilliant Stars, you get 3 of those as well at $3.85. Astral Radiance, you get 3 of those at $3.87, and Lost Origin, the market price on that, $4.90, and you get 2 of those. That brings your grand total for just the pack contents inside, just the packs, nothing else, $107.84, which is obviously a very strong price point. Here is your total value inside. So if you add all the booster packs together, $107.84. Last year when we did this, when we looked over the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection a year after release, the contents inside for the booster packs were only $60.41. So the contents have gone up almost 50%. They have almost doubled in price over the past year, doing extremely well. The ancillary products inside, we're talking about like the dice, we're talking about the playmat, not a whole lot of value in that, and it's not going to change really. So $15 on that one. And then the promo cards inside have also doubled in price. So that Charizard V, Charizard VMAX, and Charizard V Star currently selling for $53, which is double where they were last year at this time. In total, you're looking at $175.96. Again, remember, you can find these for $150, and if you pay attention over the next week or so, you might be able to find them for $130, $140, which would be even better of a price point to kind of buy into the mat. We talked about how the 151 UPC is doing. We talked about how the Celebrations UPC is doing, how Hidden Fates has done. A lot of Ultra Premium collections have done really well historically, and they don't release a ton of them. Usually you get 1, maybe 2 on a yearly basis. $175.96 is the current value. I'm not saying you should open it up, but very rarely is there a point in time where you get a product where the contents inside are actually worth more than the product itself. You look at all the vintage booster boxes right now, all older booster boxes, even current booster boxes, the contents inside rarely match up with the value of the actual item. So $175.96 is the contents inside, and you can buy it sealed for well less than that, which is obviously very, very cool. So I want to kind of cover that just so you can kind of pay attention, see what's around. We'll talk more on Tuesday about booster boxes and things like that, especially as we move forward, because things have changed a lot when it comes to booster boxes in the market that's trying to purchase those, which is really interesting. So I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a really long way for the algorithm. Ultimately, thank you just for watching and listening. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I'll talk to you again on Tuesday. Until next time, peace.